Welcome to Formarte English Academy. Well, we're going to be working today on unit number 3. So let's turn right away to our booklets, and we'll be in the booklet in page 22. So let's go right away to page 22, and let's start our class today. Well, today the name of this title of this unit is In the Public Eye. And well, we're going to see why this text or this unit has this name in a moment. But as always, remember to practice the speaking part. It's very, very important for us to be able to understand the way of answering those questions. Again, in this part, they want to practice for you part one of the speaking test. In the last units, we've been practicing a lot of this, so please continue practicing because this is going to help you a lot to understand a little bit how these questions work. So we have here some examples. We have here what we expect to read about in these magazines, or which magazines or TV programs do you know where famous people are interviewed? Do you like reading or watching interviews? So it's just remember part one of the speaking test are a lot about us, just personal questions about our hobbies, what we like, where we like to go, and they want for us to, or they're going to evaluate future tenses. They're going to evaluate infinitives, gerunds, simple present, all kinds of those things. I mean, those all those grammar parts. That's what they're going to evaluate in this part. So it's very important for you to well, take a look at these magazines, and based on these magazines, then you can answer these questions. Okay, so take a moment, just pause a little bit the video, and just take a minute or so, or 2 or 3 minutes to answer these questions. Okay, now that you have already practiced speaking, I want for us to focus today on remember that these well, each unit focuses on a part of a test, of a real part of the test. In this case, we're going to practice part 5 of the reading and use of English test. This is like the most common, I think, for us because it's just reading comprehension, just like we did in our bachillerato in high school, where they show us a big text, and based on the text, we just need to answer some questions. In this case, if I'm not wrong, there are going to be 6 questions about this part. Um, Correct. It's just 6 questions that we're going to have related to this part. But let me give you some tips before, because it's very, very important for us to understand how this works. Okay, so let's work right now on that. And we're going to see here the reading and use of English part 5. Let me read this information before, and then I'm going to explain to you the most important parts. But remember that in the platform, you have this text so that you can study and check it and read it. And if you have any specific questions, just let us know. And again, we'll be glad to serve you. Okay, so in this reading and use of English part 5, it says, part 5 is a long text with 6 comprehension questions. Each correct answer is worth 2 points. So it's very, very important. Please, I mean, this is very important because each part, or each part of this reading comprehension is 2 points. So it's very important for us to get it correctly. The text is so long, the answers all seem to be the same. It's a test of concentration, understanding, and of your patience. Remember the time you save in part 1 and 4, you might burn some up here, okay? So it says there's a lot of text in this section. Studying this page on a desktop will be much better than on your smartphone. So again, we recommend for you to hopefully to uh, watch this online course on your laptop or desktop computer, because it's going to be easier for you to check and to read the text that we are going to be sending you. Okay, so what they recommend here, and let's go very quick to our text or the booklet, so that you can see how how this works. Okay, this is a real text. I mean, this is like a text that you're going to find in the real test. In this case, it says change is an emotion. It's real work and organization and strategy. So it just works about just talks about or tells us about the Obama family. And so what I recommend is for you to read it all. And then you see we have here our our questions. In this case, they just show 4, but in the real test, it's going to be 6. Normally, and this is how it works. Normally, the first question is going to be in the first paragraph. I mean, they're always in order. The second question, once you answer the first question, then the second question is going to be just after that second paragraph, and so on. The last question, which is number 6, can be anywhere in the text. Okay, so that's the way it works. So that's the advantage that this part of the test gives us, right? That it's in order. It's going to be in order. Once you find the answer, the next answer is going to be number 2. The next answer, number 3, and so on. But number 6 is going to be can be anywhere in the text. So be careful with number 6. And just going back again to our to the tips for this part. I'm going to focus on part 3, which says look out for traps. Okay, so it says everything here is a trap. Well, 75%. Why do all the answers seem plausible? Well, because if you just read the text quickly, every answer seems possible. But before you write your answer, remember what Admiral Akbar says in Star Wars. Okay, so this is just an example of Star Wars that you're going to be able to see here in this text that I put here on you. But it's very important for us to see exactly what this test or the question is asking in a specific, right? Again, some of the answers might be most of the answers might be the one that you say, yeah, this is the one. No, but this is the one. Yeah, but what is exactly the question asking? And that is what we need to focus on. What is that person really asking? For example, here in our in the text, the first question says, what did Michelle like about Barack as a friend? Okay, so here we need to focus on the most important part. Okay, as a friend, right? Because maybe in the text you're going to see that she liked him about that, but when he was in office, right? So no, it's not when he was in office. No, it's when they were just friends, right? As a friend. So that's what we really need to focus on these paragraphs and in this part 5 of the test. So again, I recommend for you to read this information. Um, Again, I put here some real texts and how it works, what tips or what can help you to understand this. For example, it says here, what problem regarding color does the writer explain in the first paragraph, right? So you would need to read carefully, again, the problem regarding color, right? So what is that problem? And it's going to be in the first paragraph. So that's, again, what I was telling you, most of the times the first question is going to be the first one, second, in the second paragraph, and so on, okay? But please take a look at this so that you will be able to find some information. And also remember that in your booklet, you're going to have a real test, okay? So you can just look at it, don't do it, because remember that's one of the tests that we're going to be doing um, after I would say like in the like after the first month of this course. Then we're going to be doing little by little that test that you're going to find in your booklet. But you can just take a look at it. Yes, oh yeah, this is part 5, this is part 1, this is part 2. I just really want for you to get used to, get familiar to this test, how it works, how does it look like, and so that you could be able to little by little be able to see it. And once you're going to be doing it, it's going to be very easy for you to identify each part, and of course for you to memorize these different tips. Okay, so this is regarding part 5 of this reading test that we have here. Okay, but let's go very quick to our grammar part. Remember that there's going to be always a grammar part that we're going to be seeing in these units. And so please take out your notebook, take out your pencil, because this part is one of the most important parts. I know that we as teachers, we know some of this, but we can get sometimes used to just teaching what we just do, right? I was having this person tell me, well, I just teach preschool. So, I mean, I never get uh, to do, I never get to teach wishes and regrets in this case, right? But don't worry, that's why we are helping you regarding these different, well, regarding this course, so that you can get familiar with these grammar parts, that some of them are not that easy sometimes, right? But let's go very quick to the grammar part, which is going to be wishes and regrets. Okay, so let's start very quick with our our part today. Okay, so in this case we have wishes and regrets. So please again memorize these formulas, because sometimes, well, we know in general wishes and regrets, but sometimes we don't know exactly how to use them, regarding how the way or the formula that they have. Okay, so let's go with this first formula. So when you see wish or if only plus past simple, well, how is it used? I mean, how can I use this form, or this wish and regret? Well, wish or if only plus past simple is used to express a wish or regret about a general state that exists in the present, or a usual or regular event or habit. For example, I have here, he wishes he was a photographer instead of an actor. Okay, so he's regretting, right? He has a wish that, well, he wishes to that he would be a photographer, but what is the reality in the present? That he is an actor, right? So regret about a general state that exists in the present. So something true that exists right now in the present, but you're regretting or you wish something in the past that is not true. Or the other one, a regular event or habit. If only we had longer holidays, right? Well, we as teachers, I think this is something that we always will love to, right? To have a longer holidays. But well, the truth is that that's not the real, that's not reality, right? But in this case, it's just talking about a regular event or habit. Okay, so this is the first formula that we really want to focus on. Please write it down, study, write your own examples, and if you want, or if you even want to send me those examples, you can send that to me, and we can check them together, and we can see how you are progressing in this part, which is wishes and regrets. Okay, let's go to the second one. And this one says, okay, we use wish or if only plus would. Okay, this is used to express a wish or regret about a usual or regular event or habit. We use would when the person or thing doing the action could change their behavior if they choose to. It is often used to complain about someone's behavior also. Okay, so let's see some examples here. And it says, if only the children will be quiet. Well, it's just something that we are expressing, right? And we can even change it, right? Well, if the children just are quiet, then we can change that, right? It's not something impossible like the one in the first one, right? When we use the past simple. No, when we use would, we can change it. Or for example, I wish you would look for a job. Okay, so in this case, you're complaining about someone's behavior. Okay, so these are both ways of using if only or wish plus would. So it's in this case for as it says, we use we use would when the person or thing doing the action could change their behavior, right? So again, the children can change that behavior because if they're quiet, well, there's no wish anymore. Or if you, or in this case, you're complaining about that person because that person is not looking for a job. So they say, well, I wish you will look for a job, right? But also, if that person decides to look for a job, then you can change it. So that's something very important. The first one, we can change it. This one, we can change the situation, okay? And is it still a wish or it is still a regret? Okay, let's go to part three. Then when we use wish or if only plus past perfect, okay, that's it is used to express a wish or regret about the past, saying how we would like the past to be different. Okay, so that's when we want to express how the past. Okay, I will wish that this past will be this way, or that person will do something else. Okay, this one we express or we wish something in the past. For example, I wish I had trained as a doctor instead of as a teacher. Well, we as teachers we might be able to say that, or we might have maybe another well, I would like maybe to be a musician or something like that. So you can say, well, I wish I had studied another career instead of being a teacher or whatever you want to say is when you want to change the past. But the reality is something else. Okay. Now let's go to this other part. Well, when we use wish plus infinitive with to, okay, is used in more formal situations to mean want plus infinitive. It can be used to talk about the past, present, or future. So that's something very, very important. For example, Napoleon wished to keep his battle plans a secret until the very last moment. Okay, so again, this is more for formal situations, and um, and we can use it for past, present, or future. So that's something very, very important. And in the booklet, in a moment we'll be able to practice that. And of course, we will be sending you the answers, and you can check them in your platform. Okay. Well, it says note that when people talk about their wishes for the future, the verb hope is more often used. Okay. So you can say, well, I hope you enjoy your stay in our town, or she hopes to get a job in television. Okay, so again, that's when people wants to will talk about their wishes for the future. Okay, if you want to wish something in the future, the most common is hope. Okay, now let's see here. This information was would rather or would prefer. Okay, so how do we use that, or when do we use it? Okay, would rather plus infinitive without to is used to express a preference about a general situation or event or about a possible future situation or event. I know this can be a little bit confusing, so that's why I'm telling you or I'm advising you for you to grab your notebook and write it down, write the formulas, try to memorize them, write your own examples. That is going to help you a lot for or yeah to know this part. Remember, we recommend for you to watch these videos once a week, so you have 1 week to study or to practice wishes and regrets. Please, I don't want for you to get confused with the conditionals that we saw last week. And if you want to go very fast and maybe you're watching this video the next day you may get confused with, okay, conditionals, wishes and regrets. I mean, this is all confusing. Please go step by step, because this is going to help you more for this, this case, for you to study these grammar parts. Okay. Okay, let's go to the other part, which says, okay, would prefer plus infinitive. Okay, first of all, we say would rather plus infinitive without to. Now we're using would prefer plus infinitive with to. Okay, it is also used to express a preference about a general situation or event, or about a possible future situation or event. Okay, so for example, you can say, I'll prefer to travel with a group of people. Okay, so that's both ways, because some people get confused with would rather or would prefer and how to use them. Well, we have here both of them. And again, please try to write down your own examples so that it will be easier for you. Okay. Now let's go to the other part of this grammar wishes and regrets that we're seeing. Okay, now would rather plus the subject plus present or past simple is used to express a preference for another person or thing to do something now or in the future. The use of the past simple expresses the preference more tentatively or politely than the present simple. Okay, so that's something very important. If you want to underline it, if you want to write it down, if you want to pause this video and read this text again, do it, please, because we really want for you to get clear. Okay, remember, this is C1 level. Okay, so that's why this grammar is not like maybe the one that we're used to it. It's a little bit heavy in certain way, but it's very, very important for us to be able to study this little by little. Okay, so let's see some examples. It says, I would rather she works than does nothing. This is not very common. We don't use that a lot. And we as teachers, I know that you will say, what? What's that sentence? Well, that's a way to say, I would rather she works than does nothing. Or he'd rather you didn't tell anyone about the interview yet. Okay, this is not very common again, but it's the way to use it. Okay, so again, would rather plus subject, the subject plus present or past simple. Okay, again, is used to express a preference for another person or thing to do something now or in the future. Okay, now let's go with another one. Would prefer plus if plus object plus past simple. Okay, it is used in the same way. Okay, so don't worry, it is used in the same way as the one that we just saw. For example, you can say, I'll prefer it if the interviewer asks a range of questions. Or I'll prefer it if they didn't always focus on the same things. If you see these tests, I mean, this sentence, you may say, well, that sentence is wrong. Well, it's not wrong, because you can use will prefer it if object, and in this case, past simple. Doesn't sound right, in a certain way, but it's a way to use these wishes and regrets. The formal context, the subjunctive is used with would rather. Instead of the present simple, we use the infinitive without to. Past subjunctive is the same as past simple except for be, where the past subjunctive always uses where. So I'd rather he go now, or I'd rather she were happy in her work. Okay, so that's the information, or those are the examples in this case. In this case, remember, we're talking about formal context, right? So that's why this is not very common. This is very, very, very formal, that we might be able to see these type of sentences. Also, okay, now would rather plus have plus past participle is used to express a preference for one situation or outcome in the past over another. For example, when he was young, he'd rather have been a photographer than an actor. Okay, So it's a preference. Well, what is his preference? Photographer, but he's an actor. Okay. Now, would rather plus subject plus past perfect is used to express a wish or preference that actions or events in the past were different. Okay. For example, or rather, you had asked me before borrowing the car yesterday. Well, it's an action that it was better or it was a preference for that person to ask before borrowing the car, right? So that's why he's saying he's using um, would rather subject plus past perfect. Or another example, I'd rather it hadn't rained all through the holiday. Okay, well, it's a preference again. What would be your preference? Well, that it wouldn't have rained, but it did. Okay, so again, is to express preferences that actions or events in the past were different. Okay, so in this case, this is what I want for you to understand about wishes and regrets. But I have a little thing just for you to have a little bit more to study during this week. Well, it's time. We use a lot of these expressions, it's time, and let's see the different ways on how to use it. It says here, there are several different structures that can be used with it's time. The meanings are very similar, that the time is right for something to happen. Okay, so we use it's time infinitive with to. It's time to go home now. It's time object plus infinitive. It's time for us to go home now. So it's time subject plus past simple. It's time we went home now. Or it's time subject plus past continuous. It's time we were going home now. So these are different ways to use it's time, the expression it's time. Okay, again, there's several different structures that can be used with it's time. The meanings are very similar, that the time is right for something to happen. So don't get confused. The meaning are going to be always the same. But it says here to say that something should have been done already about time and high time can be used. This also use the past simple. So you can say also it's about time we went home or it's high time we went home. So again, we can also use instead of saying about time, we can say it's high time. Okay, I know this is some of these grammar parts or these structures are new for us, but I don't want for you to collapse and to say, well, what am I doing? Why? I mean, don't worry. Again, little by little, I really want for you to try to study day by day, grab maybe 3 different formulas by day or 2 formulas by day, try to get used to them, write them down, write your own examples, and this is going to help you a lot to understand, in this case, today's unit, wishes and regrets. Okay, so regarding our booklet, you can practice a little bit of this over here, where it says wishes and regrets. Regrets. Look at this question from the interview, then complete gaps 1 to 7 with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. So please practice that. Also do part number 2, 3, and 4, so that you can practice wishes and regrets. Okay. We're going to have a listening part, even though I'm not gonna give you any tips right now for listening. But in general, remember, it's very important for you to practice the British accent, because that's something that can maybe confuse us a little bit. But again, we're going to be able to send you these audios on your WhatsApp so that you will be able to have them there and to practice them daily. So it says here, listen to an interview with David Burns, a soap opera actor. Tick the topics he mentioned. So just listen to him and just tick what he mentions, okay? Then it says, listen again for expressions 1 to 10 below and mark them according to the key, okay? So when you're going to listen to these expressions, a public eye, a bully, a snap, so tick them. If you know them, well, you just do the click. If you know the meaning, if you're not sure, just put a question mark. And if you don't understand at all, an X, okay? Because it's very important for you to be able to understand these phrases in these listening parts, because very soon we're going to be practicing some listening parts of the test, and you might be able to listen some of these expressions, okay? Now, regarding vocabulary, in the vocabulary part, please, I want for you to practice these also phrases. And for example, it says work with a partner. Well, we don't have partners here, but in your house, please work to match. So what do you say? Do you say to face the issue or to face the record? I mean, try to match these expressions and to see if you can understand them. If you don't know them, please also you can ask me right away or look at them directly in the dictionary. But please remember that in each unit we're going to be looking some vocabulary parts, and in this case we're going to be um, working with these expressions. And once you have the meaning of these expressions, I want for you to do in this part where it says Hollywood, truth and lies, for you to use these expressions over here. Try to, in those gaps, try to use those expressions, because it's very important for you to be able to understand how this works, okay? So also there's another speaking part, but this is like a role play, but this is mostly for you to practice to speak up, right? We as teachers, we know, remember, this is not only for teachers, it's only also for students. So we know that some students, when they do the speaking part, they talk a little bit soft, they talk softly. But remember that once you're there with the in your speaking test, remember someone is going to interview or ask you some questions. Please speak up and try to, well, you need to really try for the person that is next to you or the person that is in front of you to really listen what you're saying, okay? So in general, this is our unit for today. We're going to have a little part of the exam folder too, but that will be in the next video. So, well, I hope that you can, I hope that you can understand everything that we just saw today. And again, please practice, continue practice. You have 1 week to practice. Please, you need to be very, very, I know that we as teachers, we really like to plan things, so please plan your week regarding, in this case, wishes and regrets. Okay, so thank you very much again for choosing us. And remember, any question, whatever you need, we are here to help you. Thank you very much.